Started now.
Now you can screen share. Yeah.
Screen share.
Okay.
Desktop
Hey
share.
everyone on the YouTube.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. Hi everybody. Welcome to our weekly Infra meeting. Usually, we start with team weekly updates. Then we go through the priorities for the next week, and the last part of the time we usually leave for discussion. One of the discussions we have to have today is the things we discussed: BetaNet, CrashNet becoming BetaNet essentially. I'm just gonna add it here. Yeah, maybe start. Nick, if you can give an update on the RPC stuff, how is that going?
Sure. Yeah, pretty well. I went through a couple different iterations of the Terraform, and now I think I have something that is going to work pretty well. Basically, the main pain point I think we've seen with the RPC setup is being able to scale quickly. So in an ideal situation, right, we have auto scaling that can detect when load is getting high and add more nodes. That's in the setup that we have. That's a little easier said than done, just because it's not like a perfectly horizontally scalable service that you just spin up another Docker container and it attaches to a database and you're good to go, right? It has to carry this disk with it as well, because the database is local to each and every RPC node. So I have a setup in place now that will allow us to effectively do this with one command. So a little bit better than where we're at today. Not perfect auto scaling, but at least, hey, we can see there's an increase in load. So you run one command and that will add another node to a particular zone, and it will automatically be seen by the load balancer when the node is synced and has become healthy. So the setup in Terraform is in place for actually doing that kind of zone distribution, if you will, where you can say, I want to spin up a node in this zone. Okay, I want to spin up another node in this zone. I want to take down a node in this zone, etc. The one thing I'm figuring out right now, and I talked to Mario about yesterday, was what is the best strategy for dealing with the disk, right? Because like I said, every RPC node has to have its own effectively its own database on disk attached to the node. So the idea is that we will have basically a node that is running that is not serviced from the load balancer. So it's there, it's attached to the network, but all it's doing is just keeping its disk up to date. And then we have to come up with a mechanism to basically snapshot that disk, every 12 hours or so, or maybe every 24 hours, whatever it might be, so that when a new node is added behind the load balancer, that it only has to sync from that snapshot. So, at most it would be 24 hours behind, which hopefully will not take too long to sync, and then it can be served, and then it can actually act to serve.
One of the proposals I had was to have multiple disks attached to the same machine, and then stop the node and sync it periodically every minute or something, and then you can just deattach the disk and attach it to another machine once it is set up. That's
yes.
One of the proposals.
Yep. I think that's an interesting avenue. The thing I'm dealing with more now is not necessarily the technical feasibility of it. It's more about the operational feasibility. So where in the cycle will it actually happen, right? Will it happen in the Terraform? Will it happen as part of a CLI tool that we developed? Basically, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, is defining that in Terraform, and then defining enough in Terraform to be able to support that. So when we do go to add a new node behind the load balancer, it knows, okay, I can read from this disk, or I'm going to use this disk, right? Even if it's not from a snapshot, right? If it's just from a disk that was attached to an instance, then it knows where to actually get that from and attach it to itself, and then go from there. So there's a couple different options, I think, and basically, as far as an update is concerned, that's what I'm working on now. And
Okay.
I think if we have time, we can
That's fine.
circle back to the specifics. But yeah, just figuring out the disk issue on the RPC side.
Okay. Yeah, Mario, can you give an update?
Yeah, so added, or better to say, fixed the monitoring of mainnet RPC nodes. So things like Grafana metrics, Graylog, or collection of Graylog logs, so we can see what's happening. Also some minor on-call stuff, trying to figure out. Also readjusting the RPC auto scaling, I would say, with the existing one, because it's not a typical service, so it behaves kind of weird. I think it's disk bound actually, but I need to verify it somehow and like see what's happening in there, because like we don't know, as Nick mentioned, like we could have auto scaling, but we don't know what's the actual bottleneck for now.
Okay.
Like, I have some
Agree.
hints or feelings about it, but I need to verify that somehow. I'll see with I don't know, the core team. Do they know what could that be? And there is also a lot of data in Grafana for me, because we collect a lot of it, like disk, network, everything, so I can verify what's happening. Also figure out how to see the latency for all nodes, the timeouts. The data is, I would say, fairly nice, but it's not actionable. We're missing paths and stuff like that, so we can know, because like we cannot know if latency is good or bad. Like, it's weird.
That's for RPC, is it? Latency graphs.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
saw this today. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. For me, this week was weekly release on Monday. Then I've added mainnet support to the deploy scripts. Working on a PR, which I working a PR to add mainnet support for NIRAP. So the problem is with NIRAP on mainnet, like I added, but like some tests are failing, and the problem is like it's different. The Genesis is not being downloaded; it's baked in the binary, so I have to refactor some stuff. So that's pretty much done. I just have to finalize it, and also I set up this course on this course. That's pretty much it. Rest of the week I'm on call. Rest of the week I'm not on call. Off time off. Not available from Wednesday and today as well. Yeah, priorities for the next week. What do you? I assume, Nick, you plan to finalize the Terraform stuff. Land that.
Yes, I don't know if finalizing it is the right term, just because there will be some testing that we need to do. But I mean, ideally, my goal would be we have the infrastructure spun up for CrashNet, and we have been able to basically run through the different scenarios, right? Of adding a node, removing a node, and making sure that, you know, we have the tooling in place to replicate that disk to the new node. However it happens, right? There's still some things to figure out there, but yeah, that's my focus, is if we can get like a CrashNet or just a simple network spun up, and then kind of practice like, okay, this is what it's going to look like, and this is how it's going to work on the data side. So then when we do it for testnet and betanet and potentially mainnet, then we'll be ready to spin those up and get them moved over.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I also added something I remembered. Added log rotate for NIRAP. That's something I added as well. Mario, what's planned for the next week for you?
Yeah, so figuring out the RPCs, or like not like next week, probably even today, like figuring out what's the limit, what's limiting the performance there, and also try to add more logging for timeouts, because we have a lot of timeouts, I would say, and I need to check the logs. I haven't seen anything. Like I'm sure they're there, but to figure out what are the timeouts so we can detect actual issues. And also, yeah, I forgot to mention the bridge, like adding monitoring to bridge. There is some smaller stuff, but that's it, I would say, for the next week.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly gonna be wrapping up the NearUp stuff, which I plan to do. So like finalize the mainnet support. Probably also it's gonna be some other issues. I don't know if I'm gonna do the system D stuff yet. I don't know if it makes sense to implement that yet or not. I have to look through the issues. There's some other issues which were like customers, like not customers, but yeah, users created some issues. Issues on Europe. Clean that up. I was thinking to do that this week, but I just had to take time off. Yeah, once NearUp is finalized, like then I'm gonna figure out what to do next. Yeah, so discussions. Yeah, Ilya, Bowen, you're here around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like one of the discussion is like, the RPC bottleneck. Like we often see that RPC goes down, but it's very hard to detect like why did it go down. As Mario said, like he added the latency for RPC requests, but like probably the best thing what like we should add, I believe, into the RPC node or RPC logging is like the endpoint switch is being called. Currently, we don't have that. Like it would be nice.
Actually, I think Nick added the thing in Grafana that actually collects that information, right? Nick, is that correct?
We can see now, yes. So I merged I got a PR into core merge that adds the RPC method for the count, right? So you can see the request rate per RPC method. The one thing I think we might be missing now that we should check is, can we see the latency per RPC method?
Right. I don't think we have the. Yeah. I think it's not that part is not added to the Grafana monitoring. It's like you can see from some other place, I believe, like G Cloud, for example. Actually, I think it offers that information. But yeah, it's probably better to add into one place.
Yeah. The issue with the latency is that like even the G Cloud has latency reporting on the load balancer side, but the issue is like you don't have the pads because they're in the body. You need to fetch that from
I see.
Like,
okay,
there
makes
isn't
sense.
a way like to add it without modifying the need for.
I think it makes sense to do it in the Prometheus metrics, though. You can just add it as a label to the there's like a processing time Prometheus metric, and so if you add the RPC method as a label, then you don't have to like try to parse anything out, right? It's then the core daemon just is reporting it, and then we use that to build the dashboard. So I'd rather go that route instead of like trying to build some tooling that parses it out when you can just report it from.
There's no need for parsing. Like you just add the label to the existing latency metrics, and that's it, I think.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, cool.
And it will work. Like, I don't know, 20 characters modification to the query, and that's it.
Yep, exactly. Cool.
I think another thing is that I think discussed with Nick. I think we will just change the house endpoint to return non 200 on the when node is syncing. I think about it.
Yes.
I didn't see any issues with that, so I think we can just go ahead and do that. Yeah.
It seems like today. So correct me if I'm wrong. So So currently we're using status as basically the health check in the load balancer, which causes a problem when we're trying to. I think we definitely are. Yeah, like
okay,
if you look,
then that's a mistake. Then like we should use the house endpoint.
I agree. So now my question becomes, as of today, if you ping the health endpoint, if it is syncing, does it return a non 200?
No, it will return 200. It's only it only returns non 200 if the node has not seen a new block in 20 seconds.
Okay. So yes, if we can get that added to core that would be great.
Actually, I'll create the issue afterwards, and actually I will. As a set of SRE teams more involved in the RPC side, I will assign to one of you guys.
Okay, sure.
I might as well just be you, Nick.
Yeah, I have a little bit of Rust experience, so
So basically, if I were to do it, it's unrelated to whether I'm going to do it. It's a one-line change, but the point is I want people to get more involved in that process, so that you actually know.
I would say it's an ideal starting task.
Yes. Well, actually, I'm slightly wrong. It's not one line. You still need to return error. You need to write the error message. So it's like two, three lines.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to take a look at that, because that will actually be very critical as we start talking about scaling, because then we can just run one command and then the node will be added to the instance group, and then then it'll just be ready to go once it's done.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think Mario suggested should figure out the bottleneck. Actually, I have some like hypothesis, but I would rather see like actual data, like to suggest which what might be the problem.
I have two. I'll test them out and let you know.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's great. Yeah, we need to collect more data on that and try to address this issue. I think. I mean. Yeah, I don't want to like just talk about just wild guesses right now. So I guess we can wait until we have more data to see what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, and the last thing is like currently like we have CrashNet running because like we need a safe place to test out things, and BetaNet is like majority run by external validators, and like we don't control anything there. So yeah, the question is like as like Alex said, like he doesn't like the idea of us pushing.
Well, I think he's convinced now.
Yeah, I think he's convinced now as well. Like if people are moving and people don't want to run BetaNet, then we can just once a BetaNet is kind of less and less validators, we just repurpose CrashNet into BetaNet and
so actually on the validator side, the idea is that we will basically do likely do a hard fork sometime maybe next week or something, and then basically we repurpose BetaNet to a network that's dedicated to testing. It's fine if it goes down. We will I think we will redeploy on every commit or not necessarily on every commit. We can redeploy at the end of every day. Not redeploy, but by redeploy I mean like restart the node with a new commit. By like we can do that nightly I mean we can figure out the details here, but the idea is that it will become a network that's more dedicated to testing. And if it's down, that's not a big deal. We just need to know, and then we figure out why, and then we fix it or like do another hard fork. That's all fine. And
I don't see a point though, like because CrashNet is not technically a product or a network. It's more of a technical capability.
I mean, I'm not saying we should get rid of. I'm not saying we should necessarily get rid of CrashNet. Like for example, if the SREs want to test something like test some of the tooling on CrashNet, sure, like you just go ahead and like I mean, I'm not saying we should necessarily get rid of it. I guess we're more discussing.
But I just want to highlight the point. Like the point of CrashNet is like, for example, me or Nick is going to be working actually on auto scaling. Like we can tear it up, like we can do whatever we want with it. And like if we want to have a bleeding edge network version, we can make a separate network. Like we're running plenty of nodes for testnet and mainnet. Like it's not a problem to run 4 nodes just for bleeding edge changes or things like that. Like we don't have to convolute it for no sense, I would say. It makes our life harder, I would say, on the long run.
Sorry, I'm a little bit out of context. So CrashNet is designed for what exactly?
So CrashNet is basically a script which enables us to make a replication of testnet under chain ID CrashNet. And its main purpose is test stuff like near up, I don't know, some scripts for restarts, backupping data, I would say very destructive changes. And we can do whatever we want with it, like bring it down, start from Genesis, whatever we want. Like, we don't care about it. It's basically for testing tooling.
Okay.
And we can kill it after we're done testing.
Yeah.
So,
like,
but is there a point of it having a specific nomination name versus like because so there's a reason, because chain ID actually should relate to specific network. So if you keep like changing Genesis or tearing things down, that's not really the same chain ID.
That's what I wanted to highlight. So the point of CrashNet is getting broken, and if we want to have a version of bleeding edge for chain team just to push things out and see if it's working, then we should probably make another network.
Well, I think wait, guys. I think we have all agreed that BetaNet is that network, unless someone actually objects here.
Yeah,
I don't
like
think.
The only thing we have to like communicate that like BetaNet is gonna be down then sometimes and not recoverable at all. Like
right. So if you're talking about from the external people point of view, I think our current plan is to have very few, like I think 5 external validators running, and they are. So we will communicate to them that they must use NearUp to run BetaNet, and therefore, if we do hard fork, we do whatever, they pretty much, there's no like very little overhead on their side. They don't even need to touch it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I'm like, you should correct Sandy the note, the last line in notes then, because CrashNet is not becoming.
Maybe Sandy just like this type.
CrashNet should become BetaNet. So like BetaNet will become CrashNet essentially.
No, BetaNet will become a bleeding edge.
It's not like one thing become another. Yeah, let's not just like let's just not use that phrase. Like it's not one thing, one network become another network.
BetaNet will become a bleeding edge network.
Right. Yeah, that is true.
Sorry.
Which I mean, it's kind of always was, but yeah.
I think it's more will be more bleeding edge, I would say, but whatever.
And it will become more centralized, I guess. Just
more
to allow more control.
Just wanted to verify. So BetaNet will, like in the future, will control the whole stake in BetaNet and do whatever we feel like it, and tell people it's bleeding edge, and that's it.
Yeah. There will still be like a few external validators, but that's just mostly for like us to test, like running nodes with like external people, because they have different hardware, like the different network connections. So it's
okay.
When we say bleeding
there isn't
edge,
any like hard guarantees on that. Like
right. There's no They are aware. Yes, they are aware of this. They're aware.
But it's not like testnet where we say, okay, if you want to test contracts and stuff, use testnet.
Right. So
we guarantee you that it's going to be working.
Right. Yeah.
We say bleeding edge. We say we deploy on every commit.
I mean, we can discuss. We don't have to, right? We can do like every day. It doesn't have to be every commit. We can do every day.
Okay.
I mean, every commit could be a bit too like too frequent. Yeah. I think every day is like reasonable.
I think it would be harder though to figure out what exactly happened, right? So if every merge into master becomes the deploy, and then something goes wrong, then at least well, that was the thing that broke it, right?
Well,
if you have like 10 PRs that go in, then it becomes harder to figure out.
Okay, so I think there are two things, right? Like I think first is that the development speed of near core is slowing down like necessarily as we get more mature. So I don't think there will be 10 PRs in one day. But that's only one thing. Another thing is that sometimes when things go wrong, it's not necessarily that they just like after the node start it goes wrong, right? It can go wrong like only after some time. So like if you have another commit deploying in between, like it's not that you necessarily can tell which commit exactly caused it to go wrong. like you still have to do some investigation. It's not that you get it for free.
That's true. But for every commit, you have canary. So like the canary gets deployed on every commit on testnet.
Sure, yeah.
So like even like if there's an issue, like usually the canary breaks and like that catches something like really bad.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even concern myself with how often this betanet is going to get deployed. I think the core team can decide how they want to deploy it, hourly, daily, whatever. Like,
yeah, one more thing.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention the bleeding edge here part is that we enable all the like feature flags or whatever. Otherwise, the code actually should run on mainnet with no problem. Like we should be testing it, as canary for mainnet in parallel, right? So it's a very different like environment in which we're testing things. Like ideally, ideally, it shouldn't allow you to even merge pull requests that fails nightly tests and stuff, or NADAC tests. But then like the canary should right away catch anything that like fails without the new features. And then the new features is where betanet and the goal there is more that it will fail because somebody used it, right? Because somebody used it in an unexpected way or whatever. Like that's what we want to get from betanet. Like betanet will be used by developers who want to have the latest features, and we will experience issues due to that, not due to like, for example, when we had hack days, right? And Eugene was finding some ways to like slow down the transactions or whatever. Like that's what we're going to be looking for.
Yeah, actually for testing, I was suggesting that we have a script that constantly loads betanet, and that script can change depending on which feature we want to test. But yeah, I mean, developers they can also use this to test the latest features and how that works with their applications.
Not sure how it's relevant to this, but betanet is huge.
Yes. That is mostly. Yes. So that is mostly because I turned on the load testing for a week. It just created a shit ton of deployed a shit ton of contracts. It's created a shit ton of accounts, and yeah. So.
Okay.
There's a question from Henry on YouTube. I've noticed long-running RPC nodes for weeks on end seem to hit a memory issue. Notice failing at around 8.9 gigabytes if they have been running for weeks. Is there a max memory allocation limit somewhere?
No, I don't think so. Are they just running out of memory? Are they saying that? Are they saying that at some point they just run out of memory? Or
I think what it says it does not run out of memory, but at specific amount of memory it fails. I mean, I don't know if it's like just
fails
out of memory or.
Yeah, depending on how it failed, right? Is it fail because out of memory got killed, or did it fail because of other reasons?
Let me try to get Henry here.
Like Manu, he knows probably the best, but I don't know, perhaps checking the kernel logs, because like usually when you think about memory leaks, you think like it's going up, hits like 80-90%, then dies. But I saw nodes that die like around this, like half the memory, and they just die. And in the end, it tries to allocate almost half of the RAM.
Oh, so you're saying it's like allocate.
Yeah, big page allocations, and then it's like the Doom killer says goodbye.
I see.
Oh, Henry.
Yeah, well, I guess it's possible that the allocator tries to double the size or something and then just failed.
Oh.
Yeah, Henry's here, so.
Hi, yeah, if you can give us like more info of what exactly happened.
Oh, also, I think we're running out of time. We already run out of time. Actually.
Yeah. No, we have 45.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that.
Hello?
Henry, you're muted if you're trying to speak.
Okay, okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I've just noticing on GuildNet that the nodes just halt after running for weeks, even though they're 16 gigabyte nodes, they halt at about 8.9 gigabytes. And then we've seen that a couple of times, I think even on main recently, some of the nodes were logging. They've been running for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden they just halted. One of them was out of memory, but I think one of the other ones have not been. So what you said may be correct, and maybe it's trying to do a double allocation at some point, and 16 gigabytes wouldn't be enough. Keeping in mind that I don't think I have a lot of up space on any of these nodes either, so maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, if you can.
So when it failed, did it just like, did the process just get killed? Is it or like did it fail in some other way?
The processes are literally been killed.
Okay, yeah, that just sounds like memory, like allocation failure.
Yeah, if it happens.
Also running on 60 gigabytes of memory, and they also get killed. And also it can happen like at 8 to 9 gigabytes. So like, I don't know, like perhaps check the kernel logs to check for out of memory just in case. But like, that's it.
Yeah, if you could run like the message and copy paste that for us once it happens, and like give us the whole log. Probably there's like killer something, and then give us the whole log. Like that would be helpful, I believe. Yeah. Well, any other questions? Concerns? Anything? I just wanted to mention something. We used to have the bi-weekly releasing meetings on Fridays. I canceled that, and we should use this meeting for coordinating releases. Also, the incident review on Tuesday, I moved it to Monday because it was more convenient to everybody to have meetings in the same day rather than have them across the week, if that makes sense. Okay. Commit. Anything else? Anybody has to say anything from YouTube? No, going once, going twice. Commit changes. Okay. Stop sharing.